up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Maggie, and me bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 13.22, Responsible Recollection, where we are covering the novel Deadbeat. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
Great googly moogly.
Chapter 27. Harry makes a call to the Wardens and reports the activities of the followers of Kemmler. Billy arrives and provides Harry with his revolver and shares with him his concern for Harry's well-being.
All right, it's a nice little touch of social commentary here, how he's like, the city's kind of mostly reacting okay. And it's interesting where he's like, mostly, right, because it's the whole big power outage and everything, and the city's mostly behaving itself, and it's like, it's kind of interesting. He's like, yeah, they totally rioted in LA, and he's like, New York, they totally like came together, right? And it's like, all right, Chicago, how are you gonna play this one?
The New York thing, though, the 70s, they totally destroyed the city. When it happened again for the blackout in, like, the early 2000s, it was, like, 4 p.m. when the blackout happened. So I think that helps why they didn't riot.
That's the only reason I was still saying nobody noticed.
And the cops had, like, 8 hours to get people to be normal about things before it became nighttime again.
Okay,
the LA one, it happened in the middle of the night.
And preparation. Oh, that went bad the first time. Let's not do that again.
Okay, well, sorry, New York. She just took all the credit away from you. We did, but only because we fucked it up the first time. So I
just particularly think cities in general are crazy. Okay, I wouldn't trust any city in Canada to be normal.
True. Well, I mean, it's the same, right? Any of those sports, right? Like when Vancouver knocked the shit out of everything for, and weren't they the ones that won? Wasn't that the celebrating?
But they were ready to destroy, and so they did.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. They were like, fuck it. We're fucking shit up no matter what.
Yeah.
We're in a bad mood.
Guys, well, too bad. We didn't think we would, so now we're... So yeah, that is kind of nice. That at least he doesn't have extra rioting on top of whatever the hell he's going to have going down.
As he said, it's daytime right now. That does help people be a little bit more normal about things.
Yeah, I do have, that is one thing he mentioned. And poetically, like, it's really nice, right? Where he says, like, we don't like to think that we're afraid of the dark anymore. But if that's true, then why do we work so hard to make sure our cities are constantly lit? We cloak ourselves in so much light that we can barely see the stars at night. And I'm like, ooh, yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, but practically it's not necessarily because we're afraid of the dark. We can't operate in there. We can't see shit. I'm like,
no night vision for us.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I don't mind driving through the dark country at night, but I'm like, when I'm trying to fucking like open my front door and I can't see shit, yeah, I want fucking,
driving.
And even then, my car has headlights.
Yeah.
I prefer to drive at night, but not if my car didn't have headlights.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, exactly. If you actually look, like, I don't really have to find like street signs on the side of the, you got big ginormous exit here, but exactly right. I'm like, yeah, no, that's the only reason. Like, same thing. I'm like, yeah, it's like night is wonderful. You're right. It's gorgeous to go out and look at the stars.
It's funny because I saw literally last night on Twitter, someone, I don't remember where, but Dubai or Dubai-esque sort of an idea has this new light show, and it's something boasting like, 100 million lights, and it's like a 2-hour light show, and it's amazing, and everyone's posting pictures of it, and they're like, this is so
like
cool.
In a big like dome thing, kind of like an inside thing, or like
no, it's like in the sky. It's like drones.
Okay. The dome thing's I think in Las Vegas.
I was gonna say I heard about that one, yeah, but okay. So.
No, it's like this like drone light show. Okay, I don't really know, but
gotcha.
Point is that the reason that it's all over my timeline right now is because everyone in the comments is like, we used to be able to see Andromeda from Earth. We used to be able to see, and I'm like, okay. I kind of get what you're saying, but the trade-off between nature and technology has kind of already always been a thing. It seems a little bit pretentious to me to be like, we used to look at the Milky Way and now we can't in our city. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's part of the society trade-off. Like,
but now, well, yeah, right. Now,
do we need a 3-hour light show? Maybe not, but also, the people who need to look at Andromeda can do that with their telescopes.
I was just going to say there is that, too. Again, with the beauty of all this technology is instead of having to squint up at the sky and wonder if that pinprick is,
we got the James Webb and we got the drone own light show. You have to have both or neither.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's exactly. You can still see that show. You can see it up closer with them.
Well, and technology has sort of a way of sort of correcting itself. There's this really interesting technology with audio. So, you get all this audio noise pollution for ads, but they have this way to target audio just for one person to hear it. So you could walk by something and only one person hears it in a crowd of 30 because they just are standing in the sweet spot. So eventually, one day.
Right.
We're all being targeted some way, somehow. It's coming. It's fine.
There's all, yeah.
So Harry tries to call Shiela and she's unavailable to reach. So he just finds her address instead.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Luckily, I keep a reverse directory in my office.
You're just saying, how did the zombies find his apartment? And I'm like, it's probably just written down somewhere. And then sure enough, chapter later.
Right before everybody started blocking all their unlisted numbers and
Why were
addresses.
serial killers so prolific in the 70s? Everyone volunteered their social security number to anyone who knocked on the door and asked. This is where I work. This is my number. This is where I live. Do you want to know about my kids, too?
Right? Don't be rude. Little Johnny, come and introduce yourself. Tell us nice and who you are.
Always answer the door for this nice stranger if he ever comes back and I'm not home. So next phone call on the list is to actually call up the Wardens, which is interesting because we've never really seen him purposely try and call them before. We've had a couple times when they were like, hey boy, we're all coming to town. Here's your official letter. But this is the first time Harry's been, hey guys, I want you to come to town.
Yeah, that was quite the surprise to me. I was not expecting him to make that.
To actually
Like,
go
oh,
ahead and
shit.
do, yeah, because
Especially with that whole setup of don't involve anybody.
Right, and then he was already talking to Thomas, and they're like, yes, no, yeah, right? He's like, maybe you should, no, it's two, and then I was like, all right.
I think fair to Dresden on this one, though, is that this is the first time he's faced a threat where he's not their main interest,
The sole
honestly.
target, yeah.
Right, before when it was, even just last book, right? He wasn't the original target, but then it was very much like, all right, fuck this guy, I'm going to take him out. But it also wasn't, I'm going to kill the whole world for this. It's like, I'm angry at a certain couple of people. If I can get rid of my son and my pesky wizard in town, too, that's convenient. But, obviously, I guess, the Fallen were actually trying to kill the whole world. But Harry was like, I'm too good for the wizards. I'm not going to involve those anyways. I have the knights, okay? I don't need wizards when I have knights. But
Yes.
outside of those two
yeah,
examples.
that's true. If the Knights were calling in on this one, he'd be like, yeah, fuck you guys. But yeah.
This is a fair enough point, I guess, for Harry to finally be like, all right, this is bigger than me. I guess I can't. Sorry, I really like this teamwork thing we had going
Okay,
on, but
they're always bigger than me, but this is like super ginormous bigger than me.
So he calls up Lucio, and obviously, we've got the secret wizard code thing, but I like how she immediately, how do you even know about that?
Yeah. How do you know they're Kemlerites?
Oh, and he tells her, like, oh, whatever, we've identified ourselves, we've done this, we've done that. But I have to wonder, Justin was there when they took Kemmler down. So did they all agree we're not going to tell our future apprentices about this because we don't want this stuff being known, we just want it to die? Or is she like, you killed your mentor way before he had time to teach you about this stuff? Or is she like, why would she assume Harry wouldn't know about that?
I think it's a bit, because...
You're just too young, We just don't talk about World War II the way we used to 50 years ago.
Right, because when we found out about this, right?
She's like, oh shit, we didn't bury this well enough.
Yeah, well, but...
My question, though, what exactly are you concerned about him knowing the knowledge about?
I always took it more as just confirmation. Like, do you know what's actually really, you know what I mean? I mean, like, how many people have declared to be, the second coming of Christ? We're like, yeah, but are you really? Right? So she's like, are they really? Like, I think that's always how I took it more, was just like, are you sure they're actually the real deal?
Yeah, I took it kind of as two different conversations. One being, first of all, how do you even know about Kemmler in the first place? And then second of all, how do you know these are his disciples?
But yeah, to address that first point, is that was the whole thing we got from Bob, because Harry's like, why have I never heard about this guy? And they're like, they don't want you to. They're not, no, they shut down everything. Because I think that sparked that whole conversation of history repeating itself and stuff too, right? I'm like, if you don't tell them about the bad guys and what can go wrong, you can't defend about it against it. Or I guess some of that maybe was more with like the mind magic stuff. But yeah, I feel like that was it, is that their dome, it was like a big black dark spot on their history, right? We just pretend like this guy wasn't ours. We don't know about, never existed, never happened. We don't want to encourage anybody else to look at this or be this or find his stuff.
Again, still on my Doctor Who shit, but we've just wrapped up with Donna and the whole thing about Rose being all... This is heavy spoilers if you don't know anything about new Doctor Who, but it did come out 15 years ago, so you're kind of on your own.
It's not that new.
It's not that new, but essentially when Rose is like, I've been trying to track down the doctor this whole time, and I kept running into Donna, and I'm so confused, and I didn't know why you were always in the center of the universe with the doctor, but I finally realized that, yeah, the universe is growing its way around you, and then the doctor eventually gets on that point too, and he's like, it's so weird, like, why are all the universes converging around you? Because obviously we had Intern left and Silence of the Library and things like this, where the whole world molds around the choices that Donna makes rather than
has left the library,
etc., etc. So the point of all that is that obviously Harry's the main character is a little bit different than companions on a TV show that are constantly ever changing, but it is a little bit, okay, obviously Butcher's controlling everything here. I get the puppet strings, protagonist of a novel, it's a little bit different. Set all that aside and you just think about it. The fact that Harry is in like the unique position that he is, if everything about Harry was the exact same, but Bob the Skull didn't go from Kemmler to Justin to Dresden, that in and of itself is just like a crazy coincidence to just also have that sort of direct line through it.
right?
Obviously, no one else is aware of that. Obviously, Butcher planned it that way and designed it that way. And when he had the idea, even after he was already 5 books in, he could have just obviously changed all the rules. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's still very much, holy shit, Harry, how did this all just perfectly line
Fall
up
into
to
your
fall
lap.
into you? And just
Yeah.
like you were always meant to be the one.
Right. There is always that. And like you say, yeah, with every sort of book or whatever, there is always a certain amount of that element.
Weird. Why are you the protagonist? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. But and like I say, it always comes back to like the Buffy thing, right? He's like, how do we explain why the monsters are constantly showing up and being there and why she's always right? We're like, okay, let's put a hellmouth and it's a reason for it all to be, and we just, slightly manipulate that's where she ended up, right? But yeah, it's the same thing, right? You're like, he talks about like the hub of, but yeah, exactly. You're like,
Why do the aliens
just so happen?
always attack New York? It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
right.
It's just so convenient. What if the Avengers wanted to live in Ohio? Like,
Yeah, right.
So point is he does manage to convince Lucio that clearly shit's going down. And then she decides, okay, we'll come to you. You? Specifically you? Okay.
First, he's like, oh, damn, I'm actually going to have help for once, which is crazy.
They believe me, Mom. They really believe me.
She didn't give him a whole bunch of shit about, she relatively took him at his word, give her to, and then she herself, she's like, oh, come and I'll lead them kind of a thing. And he's, damn, wow, the head of the Wardens herself is going to take the field. And I'm going to have like real backup for once. Not my little ragtag band of misfits that hey, I got one werewolf and like mortician and
Lucia is a relatively new character to us. We've heard her name mentioned a couple times, and obviously we did the short story with her back when we first started all
but
of
otherwise
this.
we've not been
But
introduced
otherwise,
to her.
this
That
isn't
short
someone
story
that's
was
been
not.
pointed out when we've talked about other White Council members so far. So this is the first, it's not someone that we've got, oh, you've been a dick to Dresden this whole time. Great, now you're coming to Chicago. Where, like, if Morgan had answered the
Virtual
phone,
unknown.
right?
Yeah,
It is a little bit exciting to be like, oh, we might like this person. She's listening to Harry. That's crazy.
Right? You're like, oh, there's opportunity here. She's someone important.
Someone who's
but
not
she's
Ebenezer,
coming,
but is
she's
going to
not.
do what he wants.
Right. And again, established like she's head of the Wardens. He said one of the few people next in line for the senior account, right? So she's an established senior member. She's been there for a while and all this kind of stuff. And
Yep, good and powerful. If only they let more than 7 on the team.
right. And then, so then she's all like, okay, well, this is crap. All right, fine, we're coming. And then he's like, cool. Wait, why is Lucio answering the phone? Why isn't there some nobody apprentice answering the phone? I can't be good. Oh, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like, I can't worry about this right now. If the world would like implode if I actually had things go my way.
To be fair, though, I wouldn't necessarily take that as a red flag if things were as bad as it were and you need answers and all the wizards that are calling every day need legitimate answers. There's no time to be like, let me send this to the top. Let me just have the top person on the phones and we can just get our answers. I get why you don't always do that. But I think in a situation like this, having a nobody who can be like, I don't know, sir. I don't know, sir. I don't know, sir.
I see your point. But again, because again, this is an organization like any other organization. So yes, you have to be sort of at a certain level already to be part of it. You're right. Only wizards can get on the White Council, right? Your little hearth wishes there, your wishes. But yeah, like your Kim Delaney's aren't joining the White Council anytime soon. I get that. But at the same time, in any rate, I don't care. You're calling the White House. The president's never going to be the one to answer. I don't care if you're in the middle of the war. The president's never going to be the one to answer the phone, right?
No, but I don't think you're going to have
the bank. You're never going to have, the CEO of your bank. You know what I mean? Like,
no, which is why the Merlin's not answering the phone. But I think someone still in the middle who can
you'd definitely be fucked if he answers the phone.
I'm not saying the top, I'm not saying the CEO or the king or whoever, but I think to a certain degree, the low-level guys, there's just no need for them right now. It's like, you know what? You can't answer questions as quickly and efficiently as we need right now. Let me throw someone in the middle who is able and capable to make demands or decisions. Just do it already.
Yes and no, it's a somewhat fair point. I see the very flip side of it too, where you're also going to have everybody like a helpline, right? They get how many times has Elvis been spotted kind of a thing, right? I'm sure there's a lot of very well-meaning people that are like, no, for sure it was definitely him. Ultimately, it's not, right? So you also need that bank of people to weed out some of that so you're not wasting, right? So Lucio's not taking calls about...
As somebody who has to answer the phones, sometimes if you get an influx of too many calls at once, someone higher up sometimes just has to answer the phone anyway.
And that's you.
Or also the difference between, dealing with, the Boy Scouts of America, which straight up has millions and millions and millions of users versus Boy Scouts of Calgary, which only has a couple hundred. Like, there's the organization, the amount of people who could possibly be calling at any one time is vastly different to the White Council versus any regular human organization in the world. I'm sure McDonald's accepts more calls in a day than they accept in a year at the White Council. Like,
it's only because their phones don't work. That many wizards tried calling at once. I guess there is, and you're right.
There's any number.
You're right. There's workplaces where you're right, occasionally the boss steps in and grabs the phone or takes the desk or fills an order or whatever. Like, yeah, you're right. But anyways, I do think it's fair though. Yeah. Anyway,
I can see why Harry's apprehensive to do it.
Right. It would raise that question of, wait, should this be weird or not? I want to know though, like, what is Cold Wolf? One of the things to do. How do they pick their? And I'm like,
just knows.
Yeah, I'm like, is that just like the severity? Is in like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Is bear better or worse?
Does wolf like signify like a situation? Like we've got a necromantic situation, right? Like I'm just like,
make sure you say it right, or else you're crying wolf instead.
Right.
Wonders of light frustration.
So Harry makes one last attempt to call Shiela, but again he's not able to get through. And when he's about to leave, Billy shows up to his office. Interestingly, Billy asks Harry if he's talking to somebody, and it's been long enough that he's not on the phone anymore. So it's like,
yeah.
What exactly did you hear, Billy?
Well, he's his leg. He's been sitting long enough that his leg that got all Chinese starred thing is hurting, right? So he's trying to give his leg a pep talk. So I get that. But the thing about this conversation is, and I'm like, again, totally goes both ways. But I was like, I feel like if somebody, again, because he shows up and he's kind of hedging his bets, like, right? And he's like, oh, I got your gun back. Heard there was a little bit of a dust up. And he's like, yeah. Some guys tried to, do whatever at Box. And he's like, oh, Box is really appreciated. But he's also kind of worried. So he's like, yeah, I know, but like, how are you, right? And then Harry's, what do you mean? So if I was getting a question like that, when he's talking to yourself and Harry's like, yeah, that was nothing. I'm like, I would be like, if somebody right then was, are you okay? Like, I would have been like, I was talking to my leg. My legs got it back, and I was like, right? I was like, that's all it was. But he's just like, that was nothing, and like gives like no, like, which again makes you right. You're like, why won't you tell me? Why don't you say anything about it? And I'm like, I feel like it just makes it worse. I was like, why wouldn't you just have been like, my leg hurts. I was talking to my leg. I gotta go do shit.
Honestly, and part of me thinks that he was actually saying a lot more than he was realizing out loud, and than what's here. That's how I kind of took it, not just like.
Maybe.
Also possible. I took it honestly. It's just the phone call. Just say, yeah, I was on the phone.
Or that too.
You did just hang up the phone a second ago.
Right?
He could have just heard your one-sided conversation from that. You don't know when someone has or has. Maybe a werewolf hearing is so good that you can hear the other person on the other end, or you can hear when they hang up the phone and the click. Or maybe you can just say, yeah, I just got off the phone, dude. It's not that big a deal.
I was going to say, yeah, you're right, because he does basically say he tries the phone again, doesn't get it, then he's talking to his leg, so you're right. There's not necessarily a big period of time there. He could still have been. I would say, though, that if his hearing was good enough that he could hear if he was talking, like Lucio's side, then he could hear Harry's side of the conversation just fine and would hear him saying, hey, leg, we got to get up and move.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, it couldn't have been enough for right. It's either mumbled enough that he's not getting the specifics, where, again, you could just be like, I was on the phone a second ago, or...
That's what I mean, for Harry to just not immediately be like, I was on the phone, leave me alone.
Exactly, right? Just there seems to be just any number of sort of ways he could have said that.
Either way, it's a very successful way for Butcher to plant the seed of doubt.
It is.
And it's a good intro to what Billy has to say
And also it's a good, indication of Harry just being a spiteful little bitch. He's like, you question me, I'm not giving you an inch.
Well, that too, right? It's like nothing.
You could easily explain this away, but you're, no, fuck you. I can talk to myself if I want to. That's not crazy.
I have to give myself I don't have to explain myself. Yeah. And you're right. That could be a lot of it there,
it's
too. It's
really good seed planting, and it really does start.
Good seed planting. It's going to be some excellent apples.
Yes.
But yeah.
It does a good job of, Billy, why do you care so much?
And
then to bring up this whole, because Billy's concerned about this because Bach told him to be concerned about this. Yeah, Bach came to him apparently earlier and said, listen, Bach says you're being a little bit weird, and that Harry doesn't even consider it whatsoever, doesn't even think for a second, what did I do weird at Bach? He's just like, me and Bach got into a fight yesterday, so Bach's obviously going to talk shit about me.
Yeah.
Okay, Harry.
So Billy presents Harry his revolver that Bach had returned to him and lets him know that there was trouble at the store.
Yes, that was kind of his excuse for going. I guess he left his gun behind. By the way, is he crazy?
One thing that Harry does do is that he does give Billy a little bit of reassurance at the end because he scares Billy in this moment, and then he takes a breath and he slows down and he's like, okay, listen, we're not fighting. We are friends. You seriously think something's wrong with me? We'll talk about it after, but I'm seriously busy right now, okay?
Yeah, shit's going on now.
Go hide. Tell everyone you know to go hide. Don't be outside after dark. The War Council is coming.
Right.
I told you, I'm not allowed to talk about White Council shit. Go away.
And again, I feel like there's this tiny touch of dichotomy. I don't know if, where again, as they're all growing, is like you say, so Harry's getting a little bit older now himself, right? He's been doing this gig a few years now. He's getting more comfortable in the shit he's taking on, right? He's making these more, and like you say, we sort of joked about all the elves when he first came, following around like little puppies, and Harry's so cool, and Harry's gonna come hang out with us, right? But there is that little bit of hero worship, or looking for approval, but he's also losing patience, you know what I mean? Before, he's had so much time where Harry is he's a little bit cocky and sarcastic, but he doesn't get mad with his friends. He doesn't, when him and Murphy have disagreements, about things, but they don't fight with, he's all yelling and screaming, and right. So it's just the fact that here he's what do you want? What do you hear? And he just
patience.
Does that sort of physical manifestation of some of his anger, where he just does slam his staff down, right? And that's what gets him, because Billy tries to recover really quick, but he gets that automatic fear reaction of him flinching. He's like, what the fuck is that?
This is the part of Billy growing older too, is that Billy never used to question Harry, and now he's kind of older and confident enough to do it. And Harry's like, no one questions me. What the fuck are you questioning
now
me for?
Billy's seeing some shit too, right? He's still impressed. He does still value, but exactly, right? I mean, it is, because then he goes on to say, you're really
scary.
But that's the thing, right? Billy's been out there. He's facing bad guy, right? He's taken down a few vampires and this and that, right? He's exactly like you say, right? It's not.
Well, the culmination of this book so far to have Billy telling Harry, we are your friends, we do respect you, we do want to be with you in this moment, we do want to support you however we can, et cetera, whether the good, the bad, the ugly, who knows.
Yeah.
But to also sit down and be like, Harry, listen to me. You are scary. But I want to be your friend. You need to know how people perceive you. Listen to what I'm saying. We're happy you're a good guy, but do you know how you look like to everyone else?
Yeah.
And I think that's important for Harry to hear, and he doesn't really hear it right now.
Yeah, he only sort of.
It's groundwork for what will eventually be.
Yeah.
But
exactly, he's busy. He's got other things to do right now. And again, because he's not expecting it, and he doesn't see it, right? He's like, you're full of shit. What are you talking about? I'm still me. I'm still Harry, right? That you're right. It's not quite sinking in for him yet what Billy is, like you say, groundwork. He's sort of planting that seed there too, that he's like, no, dude. And exactly, right? Billy's like, I did start off in a place of just oh my God, worshiping you, right? But because Harry allowed that to be around, and he has developed that relationship where exactly he's like, it's not just blind 100% anymore, and I've gotten to know you, and exactly that. I do like that dynamic of, I'm not just a yes man either, right? I'm not just gonna I'm gonna question and feel comfortable questioning, even if it scares the fuck out of me to question.
I think this is a good character. Shows where Harry is character-wise. He's still he's still young enough to have these sort of like emotional outbursts, but he does have enough emotional intelligence to go, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull this back and we will come back to this at an appropriate time.
But just in case you thought he was maturing too quickly. Enough standing around talking about our feelings. Yeah. We're turning into women. That's like, for me, there's a lot of moments in the series when I feel I'm not as angry about his sexist comments, but that one seems so unnecessary. And I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Like,
You're purposely trying to be rude right now.
right.
Fucking Georgia self-diagnosing me at home and telling Billy to do her fucking hate woman. Meh.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
I do have to kind of appreciate that he intentionally, once Billy leaves, he intentionally talks to himself just out of spite.
Yeah, right.
Well, fine. I'm going to do this on purpose now. Ha! Take that.
Always have, always will.
I love it as the whole conversation here, too, that, like, every crazy person ever has in every show, and they're like, but if I'm crazy, would I know I was crazy? Like, crazy people never know they're crazy. Am I crazy? Am I? Would I have enough left to know? So, yeah, just a little shout out to that, too. As Harry mentions his little Vader speech earlier when he's talking about the Wardens coming. Yeah, little shout out to the whole James Earl Jones, 93.
It will have been more than a month now since it happened, but at the time that we're recording this, the news just came out. So, yes, it was very serendipitous that this chapter happened right as we're recording it.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 28. Harry goes to Shiela's and asks for her help with recalling the poems of Die Lied der Erlking. Shiela agrees to help, and the pair find and transcribe the summoning spell. The two share a brief intimate moment, but opt to get to know each other better. As Harry leaves the apartment, he is confronted by Kumori.
Cabrini Green, again.
A butcher has got to be getting sponsored by them, right? They are showing up all the time.
In all fairness, I feel like this is only the second time it has. It's just that Tanzan pointed it out to us in that moment, so now it...
In our minds, I don't know. It feels like it's a lot more than that.
Well, what are some of the other neighborhoods? Can you think of any ones that are at the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm so well versed in Chicago, but...
Yeah, no, there's
something about Cabrini Green that's a lot easier to remember.
Yeah.
Well, it's just fun.
Name-wise.
It's like Cabrini, but yeah, he talks about what's-her-face living over by the thingy.
Oh, yeah, right. And the Super Walmart.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lake House property.
Bushwick is what's coming to, but now I cannot for the life of me remember if Bushwick is Chicago or like New York, and I don't think that's the one.
I don't think we've had any repeat locations, so this is a repeat location.
There is. I was just gonna say, like he does mention where like Michael and Murphy and stuff like that live, and I just cannot off the top of my head now remember what that is. But he does say something like, you know, I headed over to Bushwick where Michael's house is or something. But it's.
I think he definitely leans on the reputation that Cabrini Green had.
Well, and he yeah, very much in the opening of this one, right, says, yeah, it's kind of a crappy rundown, but they're doing a lot to like try and improve it and fix it up. And exactly this apartment building as we're talking about it.
I just think it's weird that it's just so soon after he was last rating them.
Maybe.
Here we are again.
Maybe. Well, you know, if it's going to spit out things like, what is it, Candyman, you said? That's where?
Well, there might have, that's the time of writing, there might have also been a lot of news presence of the neighborhood as well, so maybe it was just something that was in the forefront of his brain,
like Billy in Georgia. That's
I'm laying the groundwork for a point I'll make later.
Oh, so feigned dumb. Okay.
So yes, Sheila's building is in the middle of renovation, so he goes and rings the buzzer for a minute and then goes, oh yeah, power outage. It's okay, Harry, been there, done that.
It's just cruel. That's a lot of stairs. 162 steps, 9 floors.
Nine flights on a bad leg. Yeah, that would not be fun.
Oof.
This is super Big Bang Theory.
The only time, yeah.
No elevators for anyone.
The only time I ever had to do that was, years ago on one of the projects we were doing, and it was an apartment building going up. And so, yeah, we were laying
Oh,
in.
yeah, they should definitely build the elevator first.
I had a friend that was on the 10th that she had no elevator. It was sucked.
Oh, yeah, this place was going to have elevators, but it didn't. And yeah, so doing that like 9 flights every day actually is enough on its own. And carrying like a heavy tool bag up and down with you, yeah, because they had big giant things where you could put your tool bags and stuff that would get locked at the end of the, but they were just all downstairs because these things were very large and they weren't hauling them. And so, yeah, you could have your stuff safely locked up so you didn't have to fucking take everything home with you every day, which was great. But yeah, me and the gal I was working with, we would find just anonymous places to stash it because I'm like, I do not want to carry this thing fucking up. You know, in the first couple floors, it's not so bad. And as you get up to like that 8th, 9th, 10th floor, you're like, I am not fucking carrying this all the way down and carrying it all the way back up tomorrow morning. I'm like, I'm just going to hide it here and really hope nobody steals my shit. Which I was lucky, nobody ever did. Every time you had to go out for like a smoke break, oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, this is definitely, salt to the injury.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Turns out Sheila's got some decent enough words.
Just a little patchwork stuff, maybe. Get some help, spin some stuff together, and
She seems very much the Kim Delaney sort of power
Talent
amount,
level?
talent level.
Yeah.
Knows just enough, just a little bit. Could get yourself in trouble if you wanted to, but for the
Right.
most part, left unscathed.
yeah.
And of course, she's dressed super skimpy and super sexy.
So
Happy birthday, Harry!
Bye.
I love Halloween so much.
Yeah, so again, he's like, oh, I sort of thought she might have a nice figure under those, kind of frumpy librarian clothes she was wearing. But now we get confirmation that yes, she does. She looks soft and cuddly.
The cartoon image of the guy with the eyeballs like going in it.
Absolutely Harry every time he's ever seen a woman.
But especially when she's in like a harem costume and, well endowed.
And here I thought Sheila was also pretty level-headed, but she's going out to meet friends on a night she knows things are fucked up.
I'm happy to
and
see
things are
it.
scary. Like,
What a better night for Halloween parties.
Right?
she's like, the world, man, may as well go get drunk.
I mean, yeah, like, forget this. Instead of this, like, manufactured, like, human spooky, I'm like, no, shit's going down. Like, this is a night to be out. Like, yeah, I'm like, I actually know about magic. Yeah, fuck, let's see. Let's get fucked up. Let's...
Because it didn't,
I might catch a real demon.
didn't like Harry already tell Bach, like in front of her, stay behind thresholds tonight.
Yes.
Or like just next few days, stay behind thresholds. She's like, fuck that, I'm going out.
I don't know. She was too busy hiding under the desk
Yeah,
because,
she's in the
like,
back
corpse
office.
taster. Yeah, he's like, you go hide and lock the door. So, you
Shows
know.
a little rebellious side to the librarian.
Although the fact that he's like, go and hide and lock the door and hide under the desk maybe should have been her first clue. But
That was at work, okay?
that was just the bad guys right there.
They were coming after Bach, not her. Bach's books, no less, not her. Essentially speaking, Harry has realized that this woman who was just bragging about her super cool eidetic memory read the book that you now need. Read back to you. That's super convenient.
How lucky am I?
No kidding. I met you in the nick of time, Sheila. Also, I lost my book, so...
This would totally suck if I didn't meet you till next book, you know?
Literally.
Or if I met you back in, like, book 2, because then I never talked to anybody from, you know, that far back other than, like, my super duper close allies. So I would have been like,
Mortimer.
I used to know somebody that had, like, an eidetic memory, but I don't know what happened to her now.
He'd have tracked her down had he met her way back when. But either way, it's actually very smart of him to be like, wait a second, I don't need the book. I already know someone else who read it.
Yes. Thanks to Butter's little handy dandy. Fuck, I hate that guy in college.
So essentially, he basically makes his case about it, and she agrees that she's going to do it. So that's all very nice and well.
This is actually an interesting. I remember the first time I read this kind of being like, why is she making such and I think they had kind of mixed views. She makes a good point. She's like, well, I'm going to be responsible if I give you this knowledge. Because he's like, well, I already had it. Like, I cut it. And she's like, yeah, but you didn't retain it on your own. So now that I am going to be the one, now I have, like, a responsibility in how you're going to. And I don't know. It's part of me is like, hey, you know what? That's kind of valid. Like, that's kind of like, yeah, way to be. Like, you're right. You know, at the same time.
He's also being really sketchy about the way he's presenting it to
Right.
her. Like, and she doesn't know him that well.
She doesn't.
Like, she's got a little bit of hero worship at first, but it's kind of just like, why are you
Right,
being
she's
so
heard
weird?
about
And
it.
you don't want to tell me. So maybe I really should think about this twice
Yeah,
before I
maybe
tell you what
I
it is.
won't. Maybe you're gonna do something. You know, like I was just kind of like half being like, well, what are you gonna do? But now that you like won't tell me, oh no shit. Wait, what? No, what are you gonna do?
First, I have Billy questioning me. Now I have
who's a
Sheila
bitch.
questioning me. God damn it, people. Just do what the hell I want. No,
Yeah.
I agree with Shiela. She does have a responsibility here in this moment. She doesn't know Harry that well. He is being extremely weird.
And yes and no, he is, but it's also a little bit like, again, we're like, oh, he's been making strides in this area, but it's still a little bit like, I don't know, there's some bad stuff going on. Maybe it'd be better if I don't tell you, and the less you know, the safer you are. And she's like, well, fuck that if I give you information about this.
But even Murphy was a little bit not to protect you. There's bad things going on. I don't know if you want it. Like, he never had that conversation with Murphy. It was more just like, I'm not allowed to tell you about wizard stuff, Murphy. And even though Murphy didn't like it, it was a little bit more of an answer than just like, I mean, say the same thing to Shiela. I'm not allowed to tell you about wizard stuff. There's only so much I can tell you right now.
And
he's even still
but
being
she's like, but I kind of know about wizard stuff because I'm kind,
most. I've read a book or two.
Well, but she has some minor talent in that, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
know,
other
but
thing. She is
Kim
more
Delaney
versed.
probably really only had Harry. We're getting the impression that she's had someone outside of Harry to tell her something some way, somehow, or that she's
and
just
working
read
at
enough books.
Box Books probably connects her to the community a little better as well.
Yes, so
Bet.
point is, I get them both in this moment, and they both play off very well. Neither one seems cheap for their choices in this moment.
Yeah, they come to
And either way, Shiela does agree to help him out, which is very useful because we need that information. The part that I find weird is that, okay, as she's going to read this, and she actually memorizes the exact same way I do, because I have to picture the exact page in its entirety in my mind in order to recite it back. So that I'm okay with. It's why would the third poem? Like, you've turned all the pages and it wasn't the first one, it wasn't the second one, it's the third one. What kind of book is this where the most important poem is just randomly scattered in there and you can paint? Like, is the purpose of this book being written to have his ritual? Then it should be the first one or the last one. If the purpose of it is just every poem that's ever been written about him, we don't know which one's about him, but Harry can randomly pick it out. We know it was written by Peabody, which means another wizard who is at least as smart as Harry, if not smarter. So shouldn't he have been able to pick out that it was a third one, same as Harry's able to?
But does he know, does he know that it was actually a summoning spell? Like, does even Peabody have that knowledge?
That's my point, though. If Harry has that knowledge, Peabody should have that knowledge.
And Peabody might not have. You have an editor that'd be like, has no fucking clue. That's like, oh, this works better over here. So just changes the order, or
Maybe.
Yeah, and yeah. Although it was self-published.
I did think about that when I read it too.
I
was
think
like,
it's weird to me. I'm like,
well,
why
that's
the
convenient
third
that
one?
it's in the third.
And if it was the seventh, I guess like fairies, you have to repeat things 3 times, so you're like, well, make it the third one. But again, it was like the 13th one or the 7th one. We've had a little bit more of like, oh,
I think
wizards
it's
and magic
probably a little
bullshit.
bit, so we didn't have to sit around and listen and go through like 13. It's like,
Why
it's
not?
too easy to be like the first one, but
Yeah, he's only got 6 hours before the Wardens show up, so
yes,
which is like,
can't
well,
wait for you to read. Yeah, I would say, again, I can think of a couple plausible, like one exactly that it's like, you're going to take this mystical, magical important. You don't want to necessarily like, those who know will know. So you're just kind of going to shuffle it all into the deck and just kind of whatever, right?
I guess so.
And mix in the real stuff with the literary.
Were this book to have a subtitle, I'd like to know what it is because I'm confused about the purpose of this book.
Yeah, but again, well, he does just say that there's a bunch of stuff is getting compiled. So I can see it being the other way too, that it is just.
Is it by date? Compilation by date?
Right, like exactly, right? The earliest known one is this, or the first one I found was this, or the, right? Like, I mean, it could just
Maybe
be
they're all
like
rituals, but Harry just doesn't recognize the language enough in the first 2, so he's like, I don't know how to do a ritual with that kind of stuff. Go to the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's exactly, because he does say he sort of, now that he knows, but I mean, that was the thing, when he skimmed through it, he didn't recognize it either. So again, it depends maybe on the purpose and intent with which Peabody or whoever put it together, right? Like, Harry didn't recognize it the first time, or he would have been like, hey, somebody threw a summoning spell in here, right? But it's now that he knows that's what he's looking for, he's like, okay, maybe there's something, that's why we're looking for it, that now, right? He says, okay, this sounds like the right? So same thing, maybe Peabody just, depending on what he was thinking or in the know of how it was presented when he compiled this stuff, you know what I mean? Maybe he could look back at it now and be like, hey, you have a summoning spell? Be like, oh, yeah, this, but
Well, I will
at the
say
time
that-
it was just a poem, like, who knows?
There is a difference between reading and listening to something. Sometimes things do click when you hear somebody else reciting it rather than you yourself.
Like
just
Mad
reading.
Libs?
Mad Libs is a perfect example of it, actually, because he's like, it wasn't until the third poem that I started to recognize the rhythm and chanting of summoning.
Yeah.
Which, maybe you did not get when you were reading it, but now that it's being said out loud, you're
Somebody
like,
else.
oh, hey, wait a second. I can get all that. I find it, if Peabody has compiled this, I want to know Peabody's intentions for why it would just be, I will put it here.
Yeah.
I know it's not that important, but still, it's weird.
Oh, damn it, you want to know.
I want to know. What the hell, man?
Like Code Wolf, right? Like, just is it on this? Is it a numbering scale? Is it like a type of? Is it? Yes. How did he put? I mean, that's the thing.
Same thing. A TV show just has to have curtains because that's what windows come with. But in the book, if the author mentions that they're curtains, everyone's gonna be like, "Why the fuck are they blue?" And sometimes I imagine, any author, but
Yes.
I guess in this case, Butcher is like, "Fuck, I just needed a code word. Leave me alone."
Yeah.
I have to think through everything.
Yeah, exactly. It just sounded cool. It's like, I'm like, code word. And the first thing I fell on was like my wolf bookends. I'm like, Code Wolf, sounds cool.
My son could only count to 5. I told him to choose between 1 and 5, and he chose 3 people. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Moving on from that, she does manage to find it, and and very fair. Harry has her repeat it multiple times in a row to make sure she does not get it wrong, because as we have learned, saying it wrong pisses them off, or brings someone else
fucks it up,
or you just don't do it, and then somebody else gets to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So all that's fair enough. And yet he's like, "Oh, don't be offended, Shiela, but can you just do this 35 times in a row because I don't trust you?" But that's fair.
Entirely that, but it's for him to take it all down too. So I mean, he doesn't have to say it like that. He doesn't have to say, "So I'm making sure you're not fucking up." Just be like, "I need to get it all down."
I might have fucked up writing it down.
Yeah. Make sure that I'm clear that I took it down note for note. And but yeah, it is kind of cute. It's kind of funny how she has to do like the whole sort of like the ritual, right? It's not just like you say in her head, right? But he's like, she's kind of physically turning the pages and like moving her eyes on.
I would be most afraid of just mispronouncing words, quite frankly, if I was her in this moment.
Right.
Yeah, it's like maybe she just spells them
Did I
out
say specific or Pacific? I'm not sure right now.
Right.
I do kind of like that she does tease him about him staring at her breasts.
Yeah, I think those are.
There's a lot of breast speak in this whole chapter where he's like, "We gotta save somebody with such wonderful breasts."
But you know what?
And then still, she's like,
but in
"Have you never seen boobs before? Come on, and you're staring."
In all fairness, though, this is somebody that's actually kind of been flirting with him, and that he just realized has been right. It's not even just the same as just.
Oh no, I'm saying that she's saying it in a flirty way.
Yes, yes, that they are.
For once, it's fair play.
For once, it's fair play. Yes, not just
creep.
creeping in his. Yeah, exactly right. It's so yes.
And then she lays it on even more though, because she's like, "Oh, you're either incredibly courageous or just very stupid," and he's like, "We'll just say stupid. It's safer that way." But like they're both being very well. They're matching each other's energy. I like it. I do like Shiela a lot.
Awkward high school flirting.
I don't think it's awkward. I think it's much more like sort of like Lorelai Gilmore, the way she talked to everyone. It was just always very light and fluffy and like, yeah, I flirt with everyone who talks to me. That's just the way I talk.
Yeah, I guess maybe, yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe it comes later or something like that, but I was like, yeah, it just feels like Harry gets kind of awkward and is all like, he just does kind of like, that is just the way he is.
I think
and then all of a sudden, when she's like, well, I want to, and then it's like, oh.
He does get weird later.
Yeah, that's I guess
in that
more
moment, he's still
like
cool.
The
he
awkward
fumbles it later.
Yeah.
Yes, when they do, she wants to try a kiss just in case he like kills himself tonight. She's like, "I'm not committing to anything, but we could try like one kiss." And he's like, "I'll take whatever I can get."
It's been a while.
And quite bold how she goes about it. She's like, "Anything I can do for you?" She's like, "Yes, I have something in mind."
Been so long since I've been touched.
It was a nice little scene. It wasn't like
It was sweet.
it wasn't. I wasn't offended by it. It wasn't like gratuitous or anything.
Yeah,
it was just
no, I like it.
And they both mutually were like, "Okay, let's bookmark this."
Yeah.
Two adults being very mature and having fun is totally great.
Right, exactly. And yeah, they were cute. And again, consensual. She asked. She didn't just, pounce on him or whatever, vice versa. But yes, it is kind of a cute, sweet little. And then, yeah, he's like, okay. I have to go and fight scary things. Mwah. Yeah. Wah.
I'm gonna go be a hero now, okay? See you on the flip side if I survive.
I have to go swash some buckles.
Oh, you're so cool and dreamy, Harry.
Wow.
Do you swash some buckles or would you buckle some swashes?
Definitely buckle swashes.
There you go.
I don't know. The more you guys say it, the weirder it sounds.
So, very, very gallantly leaves her. "I'll return for you. You better. Blah, blah. Bullshit."
Look for me by moonlight. Watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight. Though hell should bar the way.
So he walks down the stairs and he gets to the 3rd floor. Winded as hell. When going down is not as difficult, Harry. I know you got a bum leg, but come on, man. You need to maintain some cool
The point
points
you're
here.
missing is that he had to go first.
Yeah, and then you have to make out with a hot chick. Okay, you're revived.
He only got like 2 seconds of hot making out. Now he's got to go walk around again on his butt, yes. Although, it's easier in a way going down, but it's also like harder on your knee joints.
It actually
going
is. It is. It would be.
So for a big
lot of
guy like
pressure.
Harry with an injured leg, that might actually be, yeah.
Still, you're trying to be cool right now. And this is, I mean,
Grab my staff
It's a
for
good
me.
thing.
as we've gone through this book, I'm too lazy to look out my rear window. I'm too lazy for maneuver. I'm just gonna sit down on these random staircase. Like, he's this whole book, he's like, why am I even trying anymore? Everything is so hard. There's like always someone over my shoulder. They can just get me
I
already.
hate being a wizard. I want to use elevators and scooters.
It's seriously, it's so funny how like up till now he's been like so paranoid and he's always on the ready. In this whole book, he's like, who cares anymore? Just jump me.
I'm fucking tired.
Then he gets jumped. Hi, Kumori.
Don't make me walk up 9 flights of stairs.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Be very still, Dresden. If you try to move, I'll kill you. I thought you were cool, man.
This concludes our episode 13.22, Responsible Recollection. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by at your own risk.